You wake up exhausted before your day even begins. Your alarm screams at you from across the room, but your body feels like it's wrapped in concrete. Coffee becomes your lifeline, energy drinks your salvation, yet somehow you still drag yourself through each hour like you're swimming through quicksand. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Millions of people stumble through their days wondering why they feel perpetually drained, why their energy tank always reads empty, why rest never seems to restore them. But what if I told you that your exhaustion isn't really about your body at all? What if the secret to limitless energy was discovered over 400 years ago by a man who fought more than 60 life-or-death duels and never once complained about being tired? Meet Miyamoto Musashi, the most legendary swordsman Japan has ever produced. While you struggle to find motivation for a morning jog, this man trained relentlessly every single day, mastered multiple arts, wrote philosophical treatises, and maintained peak performance well into his 60s. Here's what's fascinating. Musashi didn't have protein shakes, meditation apps, or productivity gurus telling him how to optimize his energy. He didn't even have a comfortable bed most nights. Yet somehow he discovered principles that can transform your relationship with fatigue forever. And the best part? You can start applying these insights today, right where you are, with what you have. The problem isn't that you need more sleep or better supplements. The problem is that you've been fighting an invisible war against yourself, and that war is draining every ounce of vitality from your soul. Every time you check your phone mindlessly, every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your true purpose, every time you chase goals that belong to someone else, you're bleeding energy without even realizing it. Think about the last time you felt truly alive. Really think about it. Was it when you were scrolling through social media? Was it during that meeting you didn't want to attend? Or was it when you were completely absorbed in something meaningful, something that felt like it mattered? That moment of aliveness, that's your natural state. That's what Musashi lived in constantly, and that's what you can return to. Most people today carry invisible weight that has nothing to do with their physical bodies. Mental clutter, emotional baggage, spiritual confusion. You wake up and immediately start carrying yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties. You pile on other people's expectations, society's demands, and your own perfectionist standards. By the time you've been awake for an hour, you're already exhausted from carrying things that don't even exist in reality. Musashi understood something profound about energy that modern science is only beginning to grasp. Your vitality doesn't come from what you consume or how much you rest. It comes from alignment. When your actions match your values, when your daily choices serve your deeper purpose, when you stop fragmenting your attention across 1,000 meaningless distractions, energy flows naturally. But here's where most people get stuck. They think alignment means finding their passion or discovering their life's purpose in some grand, mystical way. They wait for lightning to strike, for clarity to arrive like a divine revelation. Musashi took a different approach. He created alignment through discipline, through consistent action, through the daily practice of choosing what mattered over what was easy. Consider this. Musashi spent years perfecting single sword techniques, repeating the same movements thousands of times until they became as natural as breathing. He wasn't motivated every single day. He didn't wake up excited about another repetition. But he understood that motivation is unreliable, while rhythm is unbreakable. When something becomes part of your identity, it stops draining your energy and starts generating it. The modern world has taught you to seek comfort, to avoid discomfort, to optimize everything for ease and pleasure. But Musashi discovered that comfort is actually the enemy of energy. When you constantly seek the path of least resistance, you weaken the very muscles that generate vitality. When you avoid challenge, you atrophy the parts of yourself that feel most alive when engaged. This isn't about becoming a warrior or adopting some extreme lifestyle. It's about understanding that your exhaustion is a symptom of a deeper problem. You're tired because you're living divided. Part of you wants one thing while another part chases something completely different. Part of you knows what matters while another part gets distracted by what's urgent. This internal conflict is what's really draining your energy, and it's exactly what Musashi learned to resolve through his approach to life. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires you to do something that might feel uncomfortable at first. You need to start saying no to things that don't serve your deeper purpose. Not just the obvious time wasters, but the subtle energy drains that masquerade as important. The meetings that could have been emails. The conversations that spiral into gossip. The commitments you made to please others rather than honor your own path. Musashi carried only what was essential. He owned almost nothing, yet possessed everything he needed. This wasn't about being a minimalist for the sake of appearances. It was about recognizing that every possession, every commitment, every mental bookmark requires a small piece of your attention. And attention is the raw material of energy. When you scatter it across 100 different concerns, you dilute your vitality until there's nothing left for what truly matters. Start with your physical space. Look around right now. How much of what you see actually serves your goals or brings you genuine joy? Every cluttered surface is a cluttered thought. Every unnecessary object is a tiny leak in your energy tank. Musashi understood that external simplicity creates internal clarity, and clarity is the foundation of unlimited energy. But the real work happens in your mind. You've been conditioned to believe that thinking more leads to better outcomes, that analyzing every possibility, considering every angle, and preparing for every contingency makes you more effective. The opposite is true. Overthinking is the silent killer of energy. Every time you replay yesterday's mistakes or rehearse tomorrow's worries, you're spending vital energy on things that exist only in your imagination. Musashi developed what he called the mind of no mind, a state where action flows without internal resistance or mental commentary. He didn't achieve this through complex meditation techniques or years of study. He achieved it through practice, by training his body and mind to move together as one seamless unit, by choosing action over analysis, by trusting his preparation rather than second-guessing his decisions. This is why most productivity advice fails you. It focuses on managing your time and tasks without addressing the underlying fragmentation that's causing your exhaustion. You don't need better systems. You need better integration. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions all point in the same direction, effort becomes effortless. When you stop fighting yourself, you stop bleeding energy. The secret is in the small moments. The space between the alarm and checking your phone. The pause before responding to that email. The choice between scrolling and walking. These micro-decisions shape your entire day because they train your attention to either scatter or focus. Musashi knew that mastery isn't built in grand gestures, but in the accumulation of intentional choices made moment by moment. Your body isn't broken. Your mind isn't weak. You're simply operating against your own nature, swimming upstream when you could be flowing with the current. Every time you force yourself to do something that conflicts with your deeper values, you create internal friction. Every time you chase external validation instead of internal satisfaction, you leak energy. Every time you compare your progress to someone else's highlight reel, you sabotage your own momentum. The path forward requires courage, but not the kind you might expect. It takes courage to disappoint people who expect you to remain the same. It takes courage to prioritize your own growth over others' comfort. It takes courage to admit that some of your current habits and relationships are draining your life force rather than enhancing it. Musashi faced this choice repeatedly throughout his life. He could have settled into comfort after his early victories. He could have accepted the praise and status that came with his reputation. Instead, he chose the harder path of continuous growth, of constant refinement, of never becoming satisfied with yesterday's achievements. This choice, made daily, kept his energy renewable because he was always moving toward something meaningful rather than away from something feared. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it begins immediately. The moment you decide to align your daily actions with your deepest values, you stop the energy leaks. The moment you choose growth over comfort, challenge over ease, you tap into the same source of vitality that carried Musashi through decades of intense training and countless battles. So, here's what it comes down to. You have a choice right now. You can continue waking up exhausted, dragging yourself through days that blur together in a haze of coffee and complaints. You can keep waiting for motivation to strike, for the perfect moment to change, for someone else to give you permission to live differently. Or you can start today with one simple decision that aligns with who you actually want to become. Musashi didn't discover some secret energy formula hidden in ancient texts. He simply refused to live divided. He chose clarity over confusion, purpose over pleasure, rhythm over motivation. He understood that real energy doesn't come from what you consume, but from who you become when you stop fighting yourself and start flowing with your true nature. Your exhaustion isn't a life sentence. It's feedback. It's your soul telling you that something fundamental needs to change. Not your schedule, not your supplements, not your sleep routine. Your relationship with yourself. The moment you stop scattering your attention across 1,000 meaningless distractions and start focusing on what genuinely matters to you, everything shifts. Pick one thing today. One small choice that aligns with who you want to be, rather than who others expect you to remain. Say no to something that drains you. Remove one distraction from your space. Take one action that serves your deeper purpose instead of your immediate comfort. Feel the difference that single aligned choice makes in your energy level. This is how transformation actually works, not through massive overhauls or perfect plans, but through the accumulation of intentional moments. Musashi proved that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary vitality when they stop living accidentally and start living deliberately. The energy you're seeking isn't something you need to find. It's something you need to stop losing. And that change begins right now, with your very next choice.